Previously on the mediocre monitor.
And then there's this piece, and that goes on there like that. But in those pictures I was looking at, this looked kind of small. So I still had some more of this brass, and you can see the difference in diameter there. And I think I can make a new one fairly quickly. I think I got all the skills down that I needed in making the first one, that I think I can kind of whip through getting this into shape fairly easily. Hello fellow builders, and welcome back to the bench. We're on part 5 of our Warehouse 13 Tesla gun build and giveaway. And hopefully this will be, we will be able to complete it on this build. That is the intent. As you saw in the previous segment, I decided to go back and rebuild the side piece with the little capacitor, and I really like the way this came out. And some of that was due to this collet that I picked up. I'm having a love-hate relationship with it. What I initially bought it for was so that I could hold the 3/4 inch piece of copper brass in the drill press, and I could work it. And it didn't work quite. It was hard to get it spinning true. If it's a really short piece, and I'm sure the same problem you have with a lathe or whatever, but trying to get it spinning true with only one axis point was really a little bit difficult to do. And then on top of that, I'm not sure. You've heard that drill press. It's like so I'm sure it's vibrating too. So it didn't work quite as well as I wanted it to, but it did. It would work really well for maybe some plastic, some other projects. But what it did work out for, the biggest difference when I made the first side piece, I'm trying to hold it and make a bevel, about a 45-degree bevel, while it's spinning on the bandsaw. Putting that piece of brass in here and allowing it to spin in one direction while the bandsaw was going in the other direction, I got a really nice consistent angle on that. It's, like I said, as you can see in the previous segment. So I'm really happy with the way this came out. So what do I do with the old one? Well, this just is another piece that gets to go into the resin kit with the giveaway. They can use, whoever gets it can use it or chuck it or whatever they want to do. But let's move on. So the next part of the build is cutting the little brass tubes that go around the edge of the vacuum tube. And normally I would have used the bandsaw to cut that. Well, if you watched the previous episode, you know that the bandsaw met its demise. Although, I was looking at the pieces, it was just the blade guides, and I'm thinking I could make my own blade guides. I'm investigating that. But in the meantime, I still need to be able to cut the little brass pieces. I want it to be consistent, and I want them I just want them to be as nice as possible and flush as possible. So my first thought was to use my Dremel, and what I was going to do is the Dremel sits in there, and you could use it like a little drill press, right? But I was going to put the spinning blade on there, and I would have a little like block of wood, and I'd have it drilled, and then I'd have my pieces of brass in there, and I could just slide it forward towards the blade, and it would cut it off as it came across. None of that sounds safe. None of that sounds like anything that anyone wants to be a part of. So what did I end up doing? I ended up going to Harbor Freight and getting myself one of the little 2-inch chop saws. Stand by. Yeah. Yeah. How many cans? There's a case of green beans. And corn. Do you need help, corn? So, the Harbor Freight chop saw. I've seen these online forever, and I've always wanted to get one, but there's always another way to do what I needed to get done. It was either the bandsaw, or you could cut it with the hacksaw. Then the Dremel. The Dremel is a very, very useful tool for doing all that, and there's no reason why I couldn't have just marked and cut. But I wanted to be a little bit more accurate with and consistent with the tubes. So I have the chop saw, and I've made myself a little jig. Basically, all I did is bolted the little chop saw down to a piece of wood, and then I had like a metal plate from an electrical box, and screwed it down, and had one of those 90-degree welding magnets and another piece of metal to make my fence, and took the pieces from the resin kit, the rods that I had in there, measured the distance out, and now all I have to do is go and just slide, clamp, cut, slide, clamp, cut. It should be just that simple. Because this is also a brass tube, I wanted to make sure that when I'm cutting it, I'm not crushing it or anything. So hopefully this will do the job. So let's give it a cut and see what we get. Okay. Well, okay. I'm very happy so far. Let's see how consistent our cuts are. Now, come on. Yeah, that's spot on. Once I do a little bit of sanding, I'll be good to go. So we need a total of 6 of these. Yeah, 6. So 4 more. Well, Winston wasn't very happy about what's going on there, but I think that came out great. They all look really good. I did notice that when I first started cutting, I was cutting a little bit slower, and it was leaving a little bit more debris on the back end, whereas those last cuts I was just shooting right through it, and it cut fairly cleanly. So I do in the future want to make some kind of an adjustable fence, maybe with a wheel to where I can adjust the length of the cut. But the other part of this was I felt like I would probably have wasted a little bit of the brass, because I would have to cut it a little bit shorter to get it under the thing, and this worked out so much better. So now I have some of the rest of this brass that I can put away for a future project. I have a tube for this, so I'm going to set you right there for a moment. But that does mean we need to grab our Dremel to do that work. Let me go grab that. Okay, I've got my Dremel loaded up with a 120 grit flat wheel. Chop saw did such a great job. I don't have to really deburr it too much. Very happy with the way this thing came out. I guess I'll keep it. Sorry, Winston. Yeah, not sorry. So, when I designed the body in Fusion 360, everything was based on the kit parts in the kit. So the holes around the perimeter were based on the size of the rods that I had. Later I found out that they're not rods, but they're tubes. There's a hole. I found some brass tube, which is 1/8. Well, what that means is my holes are too small. So I have to drill them out a little bit. But after all the work put into this piece, sticking under the drill press is a little bit stressful. But I made myself a little jig here to where it will fit on here nice and flat. I've got my depth set, and all I have to do is just go around the circle and we're good to go. I'm just going to check them. Yep. They're all pretty snug. What I may end up doing is, yeah. See, that one's good. That one's real good. That one's real good. That's cool. Maybe one more time. Yep, I think maybe with a little tap with the mallet while it's in the block to make sure they go straight, we should be good to go. I found that when I'm trying to insert the brass tubes into the base, that I was getting a little bit of resistance. So I thought if I put a little bit of a bevel on there, I could tap them down in there into the base, and that seems to be working pretty well. I also stopped and got a little ultra thin CA glue to put down into the base before I tap it in. And that's the procedure. Trying very hard not to get glue spread all everywhere. Luckily, since it's a tube, when I push the tube down in there, instead of the glue squirting out around the edges, it just kind of goes up the middle. So all I have to worry about now is just keeping it all straight. Whoop. Check this out. There you go. Looking good. One step closer. So now we work on the vacuum tube. It needs to go into the center, but I want to put the copper coil tip on it first. Let's just try this out, just to see where we are. That's looking good. That's looking good. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Yeah. All right, let's. Actually pretty snug. Just to be safe, we'll just put just a little dab of glue on there. That's on there. Sit there. Alright. So, I'm trying to run through these processes in my head. What's next? What am I missing? What's next? What am I missing? Alright. Get the frame. Alright. touch the frame up. Touch the frame up a little bit. There was some, you could see where the two pieces, still there was kind of a little bit of a gap here at the top and the bottom, so I fill it with a little bit of glue, little shavings from the flex paste. Very thin slices, just put a little bit of glue in there, stuff the flex paste rubber down in there, filled the gap, let it dry, sand it, paint it, good to go. So we're getting so close. Alright. So now I think we can actually put the side piece on. I'm gonna have to come up with some kind of holder for this thing. So, alright. Just sit you like that for a moment. Oop. Oop, come on, work with me. Got messing up already. Straight. We can tighten you down. Welcome home, my friend. That's where you're gonna live. All right. Look at that. So, looking good so far. Alright, now we're going to have to get some. I ended up putting some indentions in the side of this to compensate for the screw heads because it was pushing it up, so that's gonna go real good. So we need to get some contact adhesive, which shouldn't take that long, get this in the clamp, and that should only take about 5 minutes. So we're going to get that done. We're creeping up on completion, and it's a little bit nerve-wracking. You just have all these different components that you really want to work together, fit together nicely, and they all look good, and you just don't want to mess them up. So you have to go back and rebuild everything. But much like the side piece, the capacitor on the gun, once you've done it once, going back again and redoing it. You've already got those skills, so you know what you need to do, you know what you eliminate. But we're in the fine-tuning stage, so I'm going to try and get the body lined up, the barrel lined up on the body before I use the contact adhesive to glue the two pieces together. So we're going to work on that for a little bit. Okay, so it's gonna fit like that. Alright. And so I've marked there as a contact point. So I'm going to put contact adhesive there and there, this whole back part, because that is going to fit in this groove. And then the only other piece, we're going to have a contact like right there. It's going to be on the bottom of that. We're going to use the Weldwood contact adhesive. Once that's dry, there's a wire that goes from in the top of this into the back of this guy, and I don't have that drilled, so I need to figure out the location of that. Need to figure out where that goes first, and then we're going to weld, and then we're going to go on ahead and secure everything. I found a video of, I think, the production model and saw where they put theirs. And to help line it up, I went and got the vacuum tube that goes on that side. Got it lined up. Alright, and if you look right there, that should give me, like, see, I'm off a little bit lower because I want it to be able to come in without interfering with the vacuum tube. If I do it like that, that puts me just below. So my hole needs to be right there. Alright, now let's find a drill bit, put that hole, and get some of this stuff going. Alright. Alright. There you go, nice and snug. Now all we gotta do is shape it the way we want it. Let's double check. Put that guy there. That guy can go in there. Nobody is interrupting with anybody, so it's gonna loop around here to the and go to the top of that guy. Alright. Come out. Alright, so the contact adhesive isn't holding like I want it to. So, I'm going to go with good old CA glue. See if we can't. So that worked out for that. So that was the thicker. We're going to try some thin up here on the tip. Just, alright. Just in case it runs. Just kind of. Good. That looks much better. Alright. See if we can get some touch-up going here. Just see how this stuff is going to lay down. I did have one little issue here. When I drilled this hole, which is why I'm trying to cover this up with paint. When I drilled this hole, I did it at an angle and I created a stress fracture like right there. And what I ended up doing was taking my thicker glue and letting it get down inside there. And then hitting it with the Instacure, and that filled it and helped strengthen it. So let's see. Doing that. You know, I think famous last words. I think I'm gonna leave it. Got that side glued down. This side's glued down. We're gonna tighten down our knob. Our vintage radio knob. Oh, that feels good. Alright. We should be able to take care of you with a little bit of thick glue. Start there. And we'll just put some on the posts that are on the bottom that won't get seen. Oh, you know what? Then we'll angle it towards.
Disconnected. Connected.
Let's do that. All right. She's in place. We got to go grab the other one. Okay. just a tad, just to get more of a positive hold. Yeah. Alright. Put a little bit there. We'll do the same thing that we did on the other side. There you go. Nice. Snug little fit. Push you down. Alright. Run down the glass a little bit. One more piece. Alright. Oop. Okay. When you start a project, you always hope that it's going to come out well. You really hope that it's going to come out in your hands the way it came out in your head. Okay? And you're not going to get 100%. But I think I got in the mid-90s on this one. This came out so well. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't it beautiful? So it's hard to talk about. So much work went into this. I thought when I originally started, and no disrespect to the resin kit at all. Somebody's getting ready to get a really good kit. But my initial plan was just to replace a couple of the components, and it just grew and grew and grew to the point where I used none of the components. And it's got weight to it. Now, there are a couple of things that I think I might have gotten wrong. I think that's a little bit longer than it needs to be. It's not as broad as it should be. This button, it sticks out a little bit farther than it should. And I kind of wish I could have gotten a little bit better on my gauges here. But other things came out really well. Matching the knob, I think, came out really well, and that's just a matter of it does turn. Let's switch you over. So the knob does turn easily, although Artie said start at 2, so we're going to put it at 2. This button, it sticks out a little bit far. I should have ground it down a little bit further than that. I did see a Tesla gun, one of the props, not a the production props, and on this side it looked very much like this. It had the thickness. In making it, there's almost no way it could look any different if you were going to keep the thickness and everything. The tubes look good. I didn't show putting the copper wire in, but that's in there. Looks good. The brass thread rods, like I said, I had the crack there, but just everything just came out so well. I'm so happy with this. I'm ready to snag it, bag it, and tag it. But now I need to come up with a case for it, so I don't have any kind of a case for it. But on to more important things. So make sure we got all our pieces in this kit while we're getting it ready to go. Yes, instructions. Those are the instructions. These are the tubes. Oops. The body that comes with the kit. A body that you may want to use if you so desire. We've got come on out of there. The side piece that came with the kit. My first version of the side piece. They're pretty close to each other. Little differences, but again, you can choose to use it or not. All of the rest of the side pieces, the decals. And last but not least, the frame. So all pieces are present and accounted for. All we need to know now is who it's going to go to, and that lucky person is Jeff at zrhino@gmail.com. Congratulations, Jeff. I hope you enjoy it. If you send me an email with your address, I will get this packed off this week and out to you. And I would also, if you don't mind, really appreciate seeing, once you're completed with it, how it came out. That would be great if you could just give back to the channel a little bit and let us all see what you did with it. Again, I'm just over the moon of how well this came out. I've completed a build, and this was a biggie. So it's now it's time for you to go build something. It doesn't have to be this elaborate, but you don't have to rush either. Just take your time. When it gets done, it gets done. And as long as you're doing something, you know, you're getting something done. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can get some more builds going. The clock is ticking on Louisville, so we're really going to have to get on top of the few things we need to get done for Wonderfest. So, until next time, have fun, be safe, and go build something. Pew 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 pew.